Good morning students. In this video we will learn how Britishers in the name of education and civilizing Indians dominated imperially and economically on India, and how they made India deprived of its own resources, culture, language, education and identity. Alright, so whatever we are going to discuss in these videos, you will find all the details in our study material on English Literature UGC NET and GATE examination on our official website limitlessliterature.com. Check the link in the description below to know more about our study material. So now without any further ado, let's continue our discussion on our second lecture on English studies in India. As we have discussed in the previous videos that the English education officially came in the year 1835 after the famous Thomas Macaulay's Minute on Indian Education. But even before him, the whole process of introducing English to India started long time back. Yes, in 1792, Charles Grant, an employee of the East Indian Company, says in his treatise titled Observations on the State of Society among the Asian Subjects of Great Britain. And in this treatise, he writes that European civilization is far superior than the Indian civilization. He also mentions that there is a need of an hour to introduce Western education in Indian society, and only that can remove the evils like superstitions, immorality, etc. And also he believed that it would be easier to trade with Anglicized Indians who know the English. So now this is something we should doubt. Okay, you see, Britishers said it will be easy for them to trade with Anglicized Indians. So that was a strategy. On the surface level, they are saying that they are helping to make India modernized, but deep down they wanted to make imperial power. They wanted to control the social and political scenario of Indian. Okay, so they wanted to spread Christianity also in India. So in 1792, this Charles Grant, this idea of introducing English started in the mind of Britishers, and they created this narrative and feed it to the Indians, especially the middle class people, that we are here to modernize India, that we are here to civilize India. But at the same time, there were some good Britishers who supported Indian culture, who supported Indian society and Indian languages. They revolted against this idea of introducing English in India. This particular group who supported Indian culture and language was known as Orientalists. So this group even said that Sanskrit and Arabic are much more better than the English language. For instance, we have John Tyler, who was an employee of East India Company, but he studied Arabic language for 14 years. He was a scholar. And then we have H.H. Wilson. He too has a high respect for a man who knows Sanskrit or Arabic rather than English. So you see, we have Britishers who were learning Arabic and Sanskrit language, and they were supporting Indian culture and language. So now the government of India decided that okay, we are also going to invest in Sanskrit and Arabic language side by side in English language also. Okay, so what happened later is that the government decided to open a Sanskrit college for the spread of Sanskrit language. Okay, in India they decided to open a Sanskrit college. But at that time, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, a Bengali social reformer, wrote the letter to General Lord Amherst. And in that letter, he says that why Britishers should not open Sanskrit college, because the Sanskrit system of education will keep India in darkness. There is no use of Sanskrit language. It is based on rote learning, superstition, memorizing the tantras and mantras. Sanskrit language is all metaphysical in nature, and as long as the Sanskrit language will remain in India, India will never get free from the caste system. Yes, it is true. Caste system is far cruel than racism in America. You see, we always talk about black people, white people, racism, but we never talk about the caste system in India, which was cruel than anything else in the world. This is what E.M. Forster writes in the foreword of Untouchable by Mulk Raj Anand. E.M. Forster, being an outsider writer, in the foreword of Mulk Raj Anand, Untouchable, he says that nothing can be cruel than untouchability. So it is important for us to study the Dalit writers. English literature must study the Dalit literature to understand what is happening in India and what has already happened in India. We should study B.R. Ambedkar. You cannot argue with B.R. Ambedkar. He has been to Columbia University, to London School of Economics, and for 15 years he studied there for 2-3 PhDs. He has written the whole constitution of India. We cannot even read one book, and this person, B.R. Ambedkar, was writing the constitution of India. Even the great intellectuals of India cannot argue with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So he was such a great scholar and personality that I believe that such person take birth in 200 or 300 years. So according to Ambedkar, English is the milk of lion. So if you drink English, you will become stronger. You will become stronger and stronger if you master the language English, because that will help you to emancipate the caste system in India. So moving back to 1823, Raja Ram Mohan Roy told the Britishers that Sanskrit is of no use because it deals with tantras and mantras and it has nothing to do with the modern science. So this proposal was accepted by Warren Hastings and Lord Minto. Government stopped funding Sanskrit and other languages in India all at once, and Minute on Indian Education by Macaulay came into place in 1835. So it was most supported by the Bengal presidency, where a class of Bengali intellectuals, Bengali Hindus, even Bengali people established institutions to spread of English education. Bengali people financed and gave money to the British government, to Indian government, to open schools and institutions. Raja Ram Mohan Roy, with the help of Britishers, stopped sati pratha, child marriage, and did a lot of good to the Indian society. So we cannot blame Raja Ram Mohan Roy or Bengali people, because they were right. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was also right on his part. Bengali people were also right on their part. Orientalists were right on their part, but Britishers are not at all concerned about Indians. On the surface level, they were pretending that they are helping Indians, but deep inside, they never cared about Indians. They wanted to spread Christianity in India, and even though after introducing English language, there was no such improvements in the quality of education in India for the next 50 years. You see, for the next 50 years, there was no improvement in modern science, what they used to give, what they used to promise us. Okay, so there was no improvement for 50 years after introducing English literature and European science. Macaulay's views were fostered by another academician, Trevelyan, who was the brother-in-law of Macaulay and who writes in his treatise on the education of the people of India, 1838, that there is an urgent need of introducing English studies in India. So everyone was creating a narrative that English is going to make us modernized, and he even went on to say that Hindu and Muslim religion is just a bogus. Christianity is the only religion that India requires. So he went on to order people to convert people into Christianity. So Britishers went on to create a narrative that there are a lot of languages in India. We have Kannada, we have Tamil, Telugu, Gujarati, Punjabi, and that is not the rich culture. That is the obstacle. We must have only one language, and that is English language, in order to unite the people. And they went on to create such narrative that today also power and prestige is linked to English language. If someone knows the English, we feel that he is more intelligent. That is the concept of hegemony by Antonio Gramsci. Okay, hegemony simply says that to accept the ideology, the false ideology, through the consent of people, that people naturally accepting this false ideology. And yes, today we have accepted this false ideology that English is linked to power and prestige. That is so much ingrained in our consciousness that we cannot just ignore this fact. So that is what Hegemony by Antonio Gramsci all about. Okay, so we will continue our discussion on Indian education, Indian studies in India in our further lectures in this particular series. If you like this video, do not forget to subscribe the channel for more such videos. Okay, so that is what all I have to share in this video. We will discuss things in our next video. That's it for this video. Thank you.